This program is brought to you by Emory University.
This rare object is a Pyxis from the geometric period in Greece and was a gift to the museum from Chris Carlos in 2012. This photo shows the object after conservation treatment, which was undertaken to reverse the negative effects of the object's burial environment and previous repairs. Treatment is one step of the long-term preservation of cultural property and can include improvement of the structural stability and/or its aesthetic appearance. Objects are often the only remaining evidence of our past, and the conservator's efforts help to retain this evidence. The geometric period was from approximately 900 to 700 BC, and was an era of transformation. Trade was increasing, wealth and the production of luxury items growing, the Greek alphabet developing, and the city-state or polis structure forming. This was also when the poet Homer created his epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey. The artwork of the time consisted of simple forms, geometric patterns, and stylized human and animal figures, especially the horse, as exemplified by these objects from the Carlos Museum. This object is a pyxis, or a lidded pot, used to store valuables such as jewelry. Pyxides came in various sizes and media, such as ceramic, stone, glass, and metal, and are still used today for similar purposes. The large size of this pyxis, the interior approximately 12 inches in diameter by 4 inches in height, and the presence of 4 horses on the lid suggest the wealth and importance of the owner, with whom this pyxis was likely buried. Before this object entered the Michael C. Carlos Museum of Emory University, the pyxis had already been repaired at least twice. The lid had been broken in 28 shards and areas were missing, especially from the 4 horses. These missing elements had been replaced with plaster, and there was a large amount of plaster in between all joins. Many of these joins were not well aligned. It was also discovered during treatment that the edges of the shards had been filed. Plaster had also been applied to the underside of the lid, making the lid heavier and hiding evidence of manufacture. A crack along one of these repairs indicated instability of these joins. The lid was also covered with a coating, which was still tacky and picking up dirt. Areas of the lid were overpainted, disguising original decorative details. The base had also been broken and appears to have been adhered with shellac. Shellac is a resin secreted by the lac bug and typically autofluoresces orange in ultraviolet illumination, as seen in this image. The base is in much better condition than the lid, perhaps due to the absence or minimal use of the applied coating. Both the lid and the base of the pyxis were covered with a white haze, and the surface was flaking, indicating salt damage. When salt is dissolved into water, the solution can enter into the pores of a ceramic. As the water evaporates, the salt will begin to migrate to the surface and form into crystals, which are larger than the pores containing them. The video shows the formation of sodium chloride salt crystals as the water in the solution evaporates. Note the growing size of these salt crystals. The growth of these crystals in the pores of the ceramic causes the surface to spall or flake away. These salts are most likely from the burial environment. The old coating may have created a barrier to the salt crystals, causing worse damage as the crystals form under the barrier instead of the surface of the pore. When the pyxis entered the Parsons Conservation Laboratory of the Carlos Museum, the object was still actively flaking, indicating that the salts were still present. To correct the condition problems and to improve the appearance of the pyxis, the adhesive, dirt, and overpaint were removed. This image is of the lid during cleaning. You can see how much more legible the design is now. The lid was then disassembled and the plaster removed. Plaster is also a salt and could have migrated into the body of the ceramic. Consolidant was applied to the ceramic to prevent loss of the surface. Unlike the old dirty coating, an appropriate consolidant will penetrate into and strengthen the ceramic, while not affecting the appearance of the ceramic, as well as allowing for movement of moisture. The salts in the ceramic were then slowly removed by soaking the sherds in water, allowing the salts to go into solution. The salts will diffuse into the bath water to reach equilibrium as depicted here. The bath water is changed repeatedly in order to remove as much salt from the ceramic as possible. This desalination or the removal of salts can be monitored by testing the conductivity of the bath water. You can see a conductivity meter to the right of the bucket. Conductivity is a measurement of how easily electricity will flow through a substrate. Salt, such as sodium chloride, will break into its ions when dissolved in water. Sodium, its cation or positive ion, and chlorine, its anion or negative ion. The anion of the salt in the ceramic was identified as chlorine through spot tests. The electricity will seek out its oppositely charged ions in the water. The more ions, the more conductive the solution. As the conductivity of the bath decreases, so does the salinity of the bath water, and in relationship, so does the salt content in the ceramic. This chart records the desalination of the lid. Desalination continues until the conductivity of the bath water is low and does not change for a few readings. The sherds of the Pyxis were then dried slowly, adhered, and structural fills added. These fills are necessary to support the sherds, such as between the filed sherds and a third leg to support the horse, seen here in white. There are a few aesthetic fills on the lid to make the rim look more complete, enabling the viewer to appreciate the whole object. Additional fills, such as the heads of the other three horses, were deemed unnecessary, since the exact placement of the heads was unknown, and the existence of the one head allows the viewer's imagination to fill in the missing elements. These fills were then toned to match the ceramic, but still be obvious as modern additions upon close examination. With this approach of inpainting, the original ceramic is allowed to take precedence, rather than the modern additions, as in the previous repair. The Pyxis is now on display in the geometric case in the Greek and Roman galleries at the Carlos Museum. Without the deteriorating and disfiguring effects of the burial environment and previous repairs, it is now easier to imagine this nearly 3,000-year-old object as it once was.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.